Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Blossoms and Bourbon. My name is Mark, I'm the owner here at Creative Occasions, and I'm happy to welcome you to my workroom. One of our viewers who was watching one of the episodes that we did on the hand tied asked about the possibility of doing a hand tied with less product so that the cost would be less, which I totally hear and can relate to, and yet still make it beautiful, still make it have impact, and that sort of thing. And that's an important thing in flower world for us when we're trying to service our customers who are cost conscious. So one of the things I think that's important about that is it would be helpful to use an armature of some kind as a structure for putting the flowers together. You could use one of the Holly Chapel eggs or pillows that are common on the market now. You could make your own with chicken wire. What I decided to do was make a birch branch armature, which would help to kind of hold the flowers in place. So very, very simple. We've done a couple of quick and easy armatures before, and this is very much like that. We're gonna just take some short pieces of birch branch, our little pieces of bind wire, twist them together, and you're essentially gonna start just developing, to begin with, a triangle. And then we're gonna just build on that and build on it, and so you get more and more volume to it. You get more layers to it as it goes along. And what that's going to do is work as a beautiful grid or armature for holding the flowers together. Now, I'm going to just show you the basics of this and then show you the one that I've completed for the design. But this is kind of how that starts to go together. Once you have more of these larger pieces laid in place, like this, then you can actually go back and work some small tendrils that you've cut off the end of the birch branch in, and that makes the grid even finer in the center, and it also gives you these beautiful little tendrils that kind of shoot out from the ends. So it's a great way to make a pretty quick and easy armature. It did not take me long at all to make this one. And this is what we're going to be using for the bouquet. All right. One thing I did not do, which we need to tidy up here pretty quickly, is cut off these little ends of the bind wire, so that we have a nice, neat presentation underneath the flowers. Yep, that's going to work. And you'll notice that on some of them, I actually tied the wire coming up. On others, I tied the wire going down. It really just depended on the easiest place that I could get the wire in and twist the branches together. Okay? Because we're still kind of in the winter months, we're going to do an all-white bouquet that's got an assortment of foliages with it. I think the foliages too are going to be a key element of making this bouquet have some volume and have some presence without too many flowers. So there's some fir we're going to be using. We're also going to be using some cedar. Love the fragrance of the cedar. A little bit of gunny eucalyptus. Some Italian ruscus. And as you remember from the hand-tied bouquet episodes, it's important to have all the materials stripped and ready to go so that we don't have to stop anything with the process of putting the bouquet together, okay? So it's another kind of cedar, so we might find a place for that. When I'm thinking about volume and being aware of the size and dimension of a bouquet that I want to have the best value, I typically like to use hydrangeas because, as you can see, that's a great flower to give you some volume. It takes up a lot of space, so you get a lot of bang for your buck with hydrangeas. They're beautiful. And if hydrangeas have been hydrated properly and treated properly, they will not go south. Okay? Just saying. Don't be afraid of using them. All right. Do you already get the essence of how that armature, that framework around that's going to be really kind of fun with those little tendrils of birch? I think it's going to be awesome. I'm going to just add a little bit of greenery here. And really, I'll show you this from the backside, the stems are just working right through the armature. So the armature is really what's doing all the work here, the heavy lifting, as it were. And that's the beauty of it. And just like with any mechanic, sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to kind of find your way in terms of finding a place to put that stem in. Now, also don't forget the technique about the spiral. as I'm putting those stems in, I am still following a spiral with the stems below. All right, so let's add a couple more flowers. These roses are the Playa Blanca roses that I just think are so beautiful. They have that beautiful color. They open beautifully, as you can tell. Yeah, so I put that one in so that I'm sure to get the stems on the back side, and again, maintaining the spiral as we go around. I hope this will be helpful to that viewer who was asking about this, and certainly if you guys have questions, I would love to know what they are. I love hearing from you guys and try to respond to all the questions. And obviously, like in this case, who knows, your question may end up being the feature of an episode. So, all right. Now, I feel like I'm developing a little space right here, so I'm going to go in here with another flower so that we can take care of that and not have a hole there. Now, I think you can see this already is getting pretty sizable. This is starting to feel like it's a good size without having a ton of product in it. I love the movement of this cedar. That just, I am so crazy about. And if you chose to, you could even put a stem of the greenery underneath the armature, which would be a great way to kind of cover some of the mechanics of the design. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, let's get these little tulips in there. So basically we've got 2 hydrangeas. We have 5 roses and 3 tulips, and then the greenery. So there's not a ton of floral product in this. You would have to account for the time that you've spent with making the armature. And that, of course, is going to be an important part of calculating the costs on this. But I was just wiggling that stem around to keep my spiral going there, you guys. Not a fan of where this one was. There we go. This already feels better. The roses were too close together. I needed a different flower over there, so we'll put the tulip in. All right. The tulips are a little more delicate, so you do want to kind of use some care when you're putting those in. Not a fan of that little bump in that greenery, so I'm going to get rid of that. I do like those little tendrils of this birch sticking out. I think that's so nice. If you are enjoying the videos, I hope that you'll remember to like them and subscribe. And if you want to be notified of when we put up new videos, just hit that little bell icon, and that way you'll receive a notification that we have a new video up. I hope you will. It's super helpful to us if you do that. All right. Now, one thing we talked about with the other hand types too is to make sure that you're not putting the death grip on everything so that it's not being held too tight. My roses are kind of sinking in a little bit, which is totally understandable. That happens. I want them to be a little bit more prominent. So I'm just giving them a little tug, very gently grabbing the head and pulling it up so that they're a little more prominent. They're a gorgeous flower. I want them to be kind of showcased. All right, I think we're good with that greenery. Let's put some ribbon on this. When I do a tie on the binding of a bouquet, I always hook that little part over my thumb, and then I come down to the point where I want the wrap to end. And then I'm going to go back up the stems. And kind of pulling that a little snugly so that we make sure it's nice and tight. If a bride, for instance, or a bridesmaid is holding this in her hands, we don't want it slipping around. We want to make sure it's nice and secure. And so then we've come all the way up to the top. We've got enough ribbon, so let's wrap one more time. Then we're going to just tie this off with a simple knot. This is why my dentist loves me. I really like that color with these white flowers and this greenery. All right, so I think, and I hope the viewer thinks too, that we have achieved a lovely bouquet, something that has a nice size. It looks like it has a nice and fairly significant value to it, even though we don't have a ton of flowers in this. The armature was a great way to structure it and held everything together. And I love the little natural element of those little twigs sticking out. I think it's beautiful, especially for something wintry this time of year. So there we go. And that would make a lovely presentation for a wedding reception too. We always suggest that to our clients if you're using bouquets as part of the wedding decor, reception decor. We'll provide vases or receptacles and put them on the tables. It's a great way to kind of double dip that element in your floral budget. All right, bourbon of choice today is Huling Station. A new to me bourbon. I've not tried this one before. It's from the old Dominic Distillery in Memphis, Tennessee. And Huling Station, well, in old Dominic more correctly, really is one of those places that works to achieve blends. And so rather than distilling a lot of their own product, they bring those in. And there's a group that's called MGP, which in doing some research about that group, I found that they actually supply a number of brands, name brands that you would probably already know about. So this one actually has, according to them, a very unusual mash bill with 52% corn, 44% rye. Jason, I'm warning you about this one. And then 4% malted barley. I promise I haven't been trying it yet. So let's see what it looks like and what it tastes like and what it smells like. It's a lovely sound, isn't it? All right, good color. It's got that nice sort of caramel color, which you know how much I like that. That's interesting. I read some notes about this particular bourbon, and one of the things that they said that they noticed in the nose was a little bit of leather, like a leather smell, and I do kind of get a little bit of that. Oh, definitely spicy. Yeah, all that rye in there is definitely making this spicy. So the baking spices like the cinnamon, allspice, those kind of tones are definitely apparent in the taste. A little bit of like a brown butter flavor. Yeah, this is actually pretty tasty. It's, for my personal preference, probably a little too hot. I tend not to like the ryes quite as much. They're heavy ryes, just because of their spiciness. So in the finish, this for me, definitely you get more of that pepper flavor, a little bit of the char maybe from the barrel in there, although that's not overpowering. Yeah, and also for me, the finish, not terribly a long finish, but it definitely hits at the back of my tongue as compared to mid-tongue for me. And in the notes that I was reading earlier, it said, this is definitely a very good young straight bourbon. This bourbon's only been aged 4 years. So it is one of the younger ones for sure. But Huling Station, look, I don't know if you'll find it in Virginia stores or not, but it originates in Memphis, Tennessee. So hope you would give it a try. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure, as always, to have you here. Again, I hope that you'll like and subscribe to the videos. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified. And I hope that you've enjoyed the hand-tied bouquet simple version. So until next time, cheers to you and to flowers every day. Thanks so much for joining us.